Good evening, family. This is Wolfman Lou. Coming at you again, and I just want to talk to you about some things that's on my mind. We, as black people, have been under the gun of the Caucasian animal for far too long, and we still seek to be included in their madness. And I just want to ask you why. What is it about yourself that you don't want to reach for the greatness within you? That you don't want to raise up and lift your fellow black men and women? Why is it that we feel that we have to send our children to their schools, that we have to keep working the jobs that they say we are supposed to work? When you look at the history, the true history of humanity, black people have been on this planet for millions of years, millions of years. The Caucasian animal has only been here a few thousand, maybe 6,000 at the most. And in that 6,000 years, what has become of this world? What has become of our land, our lands? Right now we're fighting amongst each other for titles of nationality. A nationality means that you are owing allegiance to a nation. You're confining yourself to one region of this planet. However, the reality of it is that this whole planet is our dominion, because black people planet-wide, populated planet-wide, we were everywhere. The nation concept is completely a European concept. We had regions of the world, but it wasn't a nation that we owed allegiance to. We owed allegiance to ourselves. We owed allegiance to the concepts of ma'at, fairness, balance, reciprocity, truth, honor. These are the things that we upheld. We had no problem living in a communal setting. Our buildings had no doors. Now imagine this, family. Living in a house with no doors. Why? Why would you live in a house with no door? The reason you live in a house with no door is because you're not worried about anybody coming in and doing you harm or stealing from you. And this was a phenomenon that was planet-wide. At a time when we had paved streets lit. Why would you pave a street if you didn't have vehicles moving on that street? Just stands to reason, I would think. Now, there's a word that I want to deal with. The word is pagan. According to Webster's, pagan means heathen, a follower of a polytheistic religion, as in ancient Rome. According to Wikipedia, if you Google pagan, is a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world. Think about that. A pagan is somebody who holds a religious belief other than that of the main world. Now, when the word pagan was, I guess, coined in the English language, anybody that didn't believe in Catholicism would be considered a pagan. However, the true pagans were the ones that came after. Because there was a time on this planet when everybody pretty much had the same spiritual knowledge. Because you would see this symbol everywhere. You see this symbol all over the place in the world, if they're not trying to hide it. So if you see this symbol, these people know this, know what it means everywhere. So anybody that came up after and didn't recognize this or didn't have this knowledge, they would be considered pagans. It's funny that we as a people keep trying to be included in things that are totally against your natural order, against your natural waters. And we feel that we have to continue to do this. In a broadcast of Ask the Jegna, I advanced the notion of taking over states. And I explained it. I mean, we don't have to use force. There's enough black people, and black denotes an obviously melanated person, in my mind. Now, scientifically, I think that that coincides with what black is. If you were to stand in the sun and tan without suntan lotion, then you're black. However, you stand in the sun and you burn, crack, and peel, you're not black. Therefore, black is a majority. It always has been, it always will be. Now imagine, if using that definition, here in the reunited snakes of America with 3 Ks, all black people said, you know what, let's move to Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, pick 4 or 5 states. And every black person moved to those states. What would happen with this government other than them shitting a brick? They'd be scared, because what would we be doing? We'd be consolidating our economic basis. We would take our resources out of their hands. And because of the weight of numbers, we could put in our own political systems. We have our own educational systems. We could say, fuck you, federal government. We're not going to send our kids to your bullshit schools that have been teaching us lies like Christopher Columbus discovered America and Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity. See, those are the 2 lies that I grew up with. Now, they knew they were lies when I was in grammar school, yet they still taught me those lies. Now today, when there's a new awakening, a new consciousness where people are actually asking the questions, we're finding out that black people were here on this continent possibly 200,000 years ago and came here from Africa and settled here. So that when Cristobal Colon came here in 1492, he didn't find any Native Americans. He didn't find any Indians. He found Africans that had been here for thousands of years and had settled here, domesticated this continent, built cities, communities, and lived peacefully. That's what he found. When the lie about Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity was propagated, nobody really asked in school, 1700s, here's a man flying a kite with a key tied to it in a thunderstorm, and it's raining, so that kite string that he's holding is wet. So when the lightning struck that kite, that key on that kite, that electricity would travel down that string, because water conducts electricity. Therefore, if I'm holding this wet string, I'm getting roughly 70,000 volts of electricity to my hand. In the 1700s, there were no rubber gloves or rubber boots. How come there's no report of Benjamin Franklin dying? Those are the questions we don't ask. We just take it upon faith from the true pagans that this shit happened. It goes without reason. When there was an exhibit, the King Tutankhamun exhibit that toured the country. I don't know if it's still touring, but when I was in grammar school and high school, it was touring all over the United States. Reunited Snakes of America. It's just been recently reunited by Trump. But this exhibit was touring the country, and one of the exhibits was his quote-unquote burial mask. And it is gold inlaid with precious gems and polished glass. However, the mask is not solid gold. It is gold electroplated. In order to electroplate anything, that means you have to have electricity. Here's another thing. Like I said, it was the burial mask has precious gems and polished glass. Anybody that knows anything about science knows that polished glass is a lens. Magnifies. Yet they tell you that, I believe it was Copernicus or Galileo, one of these supposedly white people discovered, and not discovered, invented the telescope. A telescope, in a simple definition, is a tube with a polished lens, a polished glass on one end and another polished glass at the other end. That's a telescope. And they have that in the Cairo Museum, and it's over 3,000 years old. Just like a huge boat on the outside of the Cairo Museum. A boat that carried your ancestors not only up and down the Hapi River, which you call the Nile, but boats like these sailed all over the planet. Long before those first quote-unquote European explorers, the Vikings. There's a lot of things that we don't know, family. There's a lot of things that we just take for granted because they tell them to us. But I want you to understand something. That in their duplicity, in their outright lies, there's shards of truth. Because the greatest and the most effective lie is one that you take a little bit of truth and you wrap that bullshit around. Ever since they came out of the ice, family, they have studied us. Because I want you to understand something. I mean, this is a very easy concept to understand. If you live in a region where the average temperature is minus 100 to minus 200 degrees, and there's hardly any sunlight, when you come out of that region into a warmer climate where there's more sun, you're going to burn. Your skin is going to burn, get red, crack, and peel. Sound familiar? But now we have suntan lotions. We have sunscreen. What happened 6,000 years ago when the ice walls fell and they started coming out into Asia? Because Europe is not a continent. Look up the definition of the word continent. You will find that Europe is not a continent. It is part of Asia. So when they come out into the sun, they're burning. It was with the help of black people that white people survived. Black people had to show them and invent for them salves and ointments to put on their skin to stop that skin from burning, cracking, and peeling and getting cancers. Your ancestors had to teach them what plants they could eat, because in the ice that they lived in, there's no plants. There is nothing that grows in temperatures minus 100 to minus 200 degrees. Nothing. So the only life forms that they would have in that region would be predators. The ice bear, the ice tiger, the ice wolf, raptors, birds of prey. You can't even fish. Minus 100 to minus 200 degrees. Think about how thick the ice would be over any lake or any river. So that Caucasian had to become the perfect predator, had to become nothing but the perfect killing machine in order to survive that. So when he comes out into the warm climate in the rest of the world in Asia, he's seeing animals he's never seen before. Even though he's a hunter, perfect predator, a good predator studies his prey, learns his weaknesses, learns the habits, and he strikes at moments when that prey is least aware. But if you don't know, if you've never seen that prey, you don't know shit about it. You have to be taught. So our ancestors taught them about not only the flora, but they taught them about the fauna as well. Yes, family, we've been helping them ever since they came out of the ice. Not all of us, because we have records of our people killing them on sight. And there was a reason for that. They were barbaric. They were little more than animals, these Neanderthal hybrids. These recessives, these mutations of mutated mutations. There's nothing dominant about the Caucasian other than the force by which he applies to suppress you. That is the only dominant thing about them. They, by physicality, force their ideas and ideals on us. Their pagan beliefs that they have formulated after they've learned the truth from us. Now, I know that this is going to sound, all of this is sounding strange. But if you would stop and think about what I'm saying, as strange as it sounds, it makes a lot of sense. It's backed up. It's backed up by science. It's even backed up by their own words. Here's a book, America, Nation of the Goddess. The Venus Families and the Founding of the United States. Do you see what's there? You call that an obelisk, but that's not an obelisk. That's a Tekken. Yes, I can open this book and just, here, I just open up anywhere. Let me read, and I don't have my bifocal, so I've got to do the old man. In his book, Akhenaten to the Founding Fathers, Scott Walter has pointed out the similarities between what is known as Atenism and the religion that developed among the Hebrews. He suggests that Moses, who we know was raised by an Egyptian princess, was an advocate of this new religion. The inference is that both Judaism and ultimately Christianity owe a great deal to Egyptian religion, although Atenism was a short-lived affair and disappeared in Egypt when Akhenaten's reign was over. Atenism by Akhenaten. Actually, his name was Akhenaten. He went back to the worship of Aten. It's not even the worship, it's the reverence to Aten. Because the Amun priestess, the Amun priesthood had become corrupt. Um, that in and of itself poses a very, very difficult idea to deal with. People that are supposed to lead you in a spiritual nature becoming corrupt. I dare say we see a lot of that today. Pastor Pimp Mo, Reverend Reach Around, and Deacon Dick 'em Down have been reaching in your pockets and in your daughter's pants, piddling your little boys for far too fucking long. And then they hold up this concept of love your neighbor when they're constantly fucking over you. Black people have been tithing. Oh my gosh, it's crazy that we believe that you're supposed to take 10% of the hard-earned money that you make and give it to a church, give it to a pastor. I believe that every one of the Christian churches, and I'm sure that if anybody watches this, you can identify with this, there's a building fund. What the hell are they building? I see nothing that they've built yet, these churches, other than more damn churches. An occasion women's shelter, maybe even a food pantry. But with all of the monies that Christian churches have collected in just say 6 decades, 60 years, all of the money that black churches have collected, what could we do with that money? Why isn't that money going to making black schools, teaching black concepts? Why didn't that money go to building black communities up? I haven't seen many of them. Yet you see black churches everywhere. The definition of insanity, family, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. In the last 5 or 6 years of my life, I've been completely insane because I've been involved with a person who told me to my face more than once that she wanted to destroy me ultimately. Destroy my life. But I love this person. Truly love this person. I went out of my way to help this person. I went out of my way to support this person financially, emotionally. I tried physically. Wasn't a cheater. Yet this person kept persecuting me, doing everything possible that she could to bring me down. Yet I stayed, expecting different results. Is that starting to sound familiar to you, black family? Because here in America, in this reunited snakes of America with 3 Ks, we keep giving our love to them. We keep supporting them financially. We keep supporting them physically, staying loyal to them only. And yet we still get nothing in return but rebuke after rebuke. When are we going to stop being insane? Now, I'm not just talking about the Caucasian animal. I'm talking about the Pastor Pimp Moles, the Reverend Reach Arounds, and the Deacon Dick 'em Downs as well. I challenge a lot of the pastors and deacons and reverends. Been doing that for a while. Because they bring you a book. I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna get the book. Okay, I'm back. Now, here's one of the books. Now, I know that it's in bad shape. This was my college Bible, because I went to Jesuit and Franciscan colleges, so we had to study. I've been in Catholic schools all of my formal education, from 3rd grade up until 4 years of college, high school and college as well. So the book is very worn. If you don't like that one, here's another Bible. Okay. It really doesn't matter. There's many versions of this book. Many versions. And if you're one who says, I have to have the King James Bible, well, I want you to understand something. Because recently a brother named Brother Reggie Mabry hit me up to something. He sent me a link where you could actually download a copy of the original 1611 King James Bible. I dare you to read it. And once you read it, get your King James Bible and read it. And don't do like Pastor Pimpmo tells you. I want you to go to Samuel 1 and read it, and I want you to go to Corinthians, and then excuse me, I can't even do it. I want you to go to Deuteronomy and read there. See, this is what religious people do. They skip all around in this book. Bang, bang, bing, bing, bing. But any other book, you take that book, you open it to page 1, you read it, page 2, page 3, 4, 5, 6, until you get to the fucking end. If you would do that with your Bible, you would throw them motherfuckers in the garbage. Because there's contradiction after contradiction after contradiction in this Bible. And if you were to read the original King James Bible, and I haven't read it all, because it's in Old English, and it's hard. But after being educated in Catholicism, it's not as hard for me. The these and the those and thous and the funny spellings. And when you sing King Iames, I-A-M-E-S, and if you look through that King James Bible, you'll never see a letter J, because the letter J was not in existence at the time. Just want you to think about that. But if you read through that Bible and then you look at your King James Bible, you'll notice something. It sounds a whole lot different. A whole lot different. But one of the things that I challenge a lot of Christians, and I've done this with pastors, deacons, and reverends, I asked them, what were the 10 Commandments that the supposed Moses handed to the Hebrews, or if you want to call them Israelites? Neither one of them existed at the time, but what were the 10 Commandments that he actually gave them? And invariably, almost every Christian will say, you know, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt honor thy mother and father, thou shalt not steal, blah, 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 blah. Well, family, I'm going to deal with something right now. I'm going to deal with your ignorance, if you are a Christian, and if you believe that those are the 10 Commandments that Moses handed to the Israelites. I'm going to use your book, your Bible, and show you that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a short synopsis of the story about the 10 Commandments. Moses has taken his people into the desert, and they settle around the mount called Sinai, that they named Sinai. I'm not even going to go into that because that's not its name. And I want you to find out the real name of that mountain. All right, so they settle around the mountain. And Moses tells them, hey, I'm going up the mountain to get these laws for us. All right? So they are down out around the mountain, on the outside of the mountain, somewhere. Okay? Somewhere. They some fucking where. And hold on. While they're, yeah, I had to have some music. And I own no rights to any of this music. I gotta put a disclaimer on this before I post it. I own no rights to any of this music, and I'm not trying to monetize it. All right, so they're down around the mountain. Moses goes up the mountain. Exodus chapter 20 in my Bible. It's called the Decalogue in the Jerusalem Bible, and in my other Bible, I'll tell you what it's called in a minute. It's probably called something like the same shit, but it really don't matter. It still should be Exodus chapter 20. It's called the Ten Commandments in the New American Bible. Now, that's the heading of it. I want you to understand what I'm telling you. The Decalogue in the New Jerusalem, in the New American, the Ten Commandments, is the heading. This was not in the original text. The text says, God spoke all these words. I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no gods except me. You shall not make yourself a carved image or likeness. For I am Yahweh your God. I am a jealous God, and I punish the father's fault and the sons, the grandsons, blah, 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 blah. But I show kindness to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not utter the name of Yahweh your God to misuse it, for Yahweh will not leave unpunished the man who utters his name to misuse it. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. For 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath for Yahweh your God. You shall do no work that day, neither you nor your son nor your daughter nor your servants, men or women, nor your animals, nor the stranger who lives with you. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all those that hold therein. But on the seventh day he rested. That is why Yahweh has blessed the seventh day and made it sacred. Now I want you to really understand something. Because in Genesis, 6 days of creation, right? Supposedly Adam was made on the sixth day. God rested. Then he realized, oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake. This guy's by himself. All the animals are fucking. Adam's sitting here, hard dick. He ain't got nothing to do with his fucking a knothole in a tree or grab one of these rabbits. Oh, I made a mistake. Let me put him to sleep, rip out his rib, and make Eve. Next one. Honor your father and your mother so that you may have a long life in the land that Yahweh your God has given to you. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not cover your neighbor's house. You shall not cover your neighbor's wife or a servant, man or woman, or his ox or donkey, or anything that is his. All the people shook with fear at the peals of thunder and the lightning flashes, the sound of the trumpet and the smoky mountain, and they kept their distance. Speak to us yourself, they said to Moses, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, or we shall die. Moses answered the people, do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so your fear of him being always in your mind may keep you from sinning. So the people kept their distance while Moses approached the dark cloud where God was. Okay? Then it goes into the Book of the Covenant. Now, understand something. Those, whatever, It doesn't say the Ten Commandments there. The heading said that, but the text itself doesn't say that. Those, okay, so it goes into the covenant, blah, 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 blah. The covenant ratified, 25 instructions of the building of the sanctuary, the lampstand, and all this other bullshit, blah, 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 blah. All right, now. Now, Exodus 31. Exodus 31. Exodus 31, verse 18. I want to deal with this, family. I really want you to hear what's going on. Okay, now, in the Jerusalem Bible, I'm going to read both of these, and you can get your King James Bible and trip over those words. Exodus 31, verse 18. When he had finished speaking with Moses on the mountain of Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God. In the New American, it says, 31:18. When the Lord had finished speaking to Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets of the commandments, the stone tablets inscribed by God's own finger. Now, understand, I'm reading this. Now, what happened? Exodus 32. When the people saw that Moses was gone a long time before coming down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said to him, make us a god to go at the head of us. This Moses, the man who brought us from Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. So I'm not going to keep reading. We know what the story is. All right. They're pissed. Moses, he's up there on the mountain. We down here. There's all this lightning and thunder and shit. We scared. Give us a golden calf. Moses' brother Aaron makes the golden calf for them. Okay? Moses is still up on the mountain. Okay? Exodus 32, verse 15. Moses made his way back down the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands. Tablets inscribed on both sides, inscribed on the front and on the back. These tablets were the work of God, and the writing on them was God's writing engraved on the tablets. Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting. There's a sound of battle in the camp, he told Moses. Moses answered him. Now wait a minute now. Joshua was waiting. Uh-oh, there's a big thunderstorm coming. Maybe God's pissed. I better let my dogs in the house. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Go on, sit down. Go on, sit down. Go. All right, so where was I? All right. Joshua was waiting at the foot of the mountain for Moses to come back. Moses comes down and he says to Joshua, because Joshua said it sounds like there's a war. Moses says, no song of victory is this sound, no wailing for defeat this sound. It is the sound of chanting that I hear. As he approached the camp and saw the calf and the groups dancing, Moses' anger blazed. Now he's approaching. He hasn't gotten to them yet. He's approaching. He gets angry. He threw down the tablets he was holding and broke them at the foot of the mountain. He seized the calf they had made, burned it, grinded it into powder, which he scattered on the water. He made the sons of Israel drink it. To Aaron, Moses said, what has this people done to you for you to bring such a great sin on them? Let not my Lord's anger blaze like this. Aaron answered, you know yourself how prone this people is to evil.
They said to me, make us a god to go at our head. This Moses, this man who brought us from Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. So I said to them, who has gold? They took it and brought it to me. I threw it in the fire and came out the calf.
Now, so Moses fucked up. He broke the tablets before he even showed it to him. Right? Now, Moses, I'm not going to go into his prayers. The Israelites ordered to depart. The tent. Moses prays again. Moses goes back up the mountain. Exodus chapter 34.
Yahweh said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones and come up to me on the mountain, and I will inscribe on them the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. Be ready by morning and come up to the mountain of Sinai at dawn. Await my orders there at the top of the mountain. No one must come up with you. No one is to be seen anywhere on the mountain. Even the flocks and herds may not graze in front of this mountain. And so Moses cut 2 tablets of stone like the first, and with the 2 tablets of stone in his hand, he went up the mountain of Sinai in the early morning as Yahweh has commanded him, and Yahweh descended in the form of a cloud, and Moses stood with him there.
Now, I want you to understand something. Once again, I've got to repeat this. Nowhere before have I read in the text where it says the 10 commandments. It says these commandments, the headings written by men. In the New American said the 10 commandments. Yeah, I'm back for more. Nowhere does it say the 10 commandments yet. Moses fucks up. He breaks these tablets inscribed by God's hand. He breaks them before the Israelites saw them. You understand what I'm saying to you? Before they saw them, he broke them. Matter of fact, when I was reading about the Decalogue, that wasn't God's words. The people said, don't let God speak to us. You tell us, Moses, we can't hear that. That's thunder.
So in Exodus 34, continuing, verse 6, he called on the name of Yahweh. Yahweh passed before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh, a God of tenderness, compassion, slow to anger, rich in blah 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 blah. Exodus 34:10, Yahweh said, I'm about to make a covenant with you in the presence of all your people. I shall work such wonders as have never been worked in any land or in any nation. All the people around you will see that what Yahweh can do, for what I shall do through you will be awe-inspiring. Mark then what I command you today. You will drive out the Amorites before you, the Canaanites,
The Hittites,
the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. Take care, you make no pact with the inhabitants of the land you're about to enter, or this will prove a pitfall at your very feet. You are to tear down their altars, smash their standing stones, cut down their sacred poles. You shall bow down to no other God, for Yahweh's name is the jealous one. Let's see what it says about that in Exodus 34 in the New American. It says here, you shall not worship any other God for the Lord is the jealous one. A jealous God is he. It says here, for Yahweh's name is the jealous one. He is a jealous God.
Now, that should give you a pause. You God, who the fuck you got to be jealous about? And don't come to me with that bullshit. God wants us to give him his love. Does God actually need love to survive? If God was before man was even in existence, God was already in existence, according to your book. He didn't need your fucking love. He didn't need your prayers, your adoration, or anything for him to be God. So what the fuck does he got to be jealous about? But I digress.
All right. You ready?
I want you guys to start counting.
You shall make yourself no gods of molten metal. You shall celebrate the feast of unleavened bread. You shall eat unleavened bread as I have commanded you at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For in the month of Abib you came out of Egypt. All that first issues from the womb is mine. Every male, every firstborn of flock or herd. But the firstborn donkey you must redeem with an animal from your flocks. If you do not redeem it, you must break its neck. You must redeem all the firstborn of your sons, and no one is to come before me empty-handed. For 6 days you shall labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest, even at plowing time and harvest. You shall celebrate the Feast of Weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the close of the year. 3 times a year, all your menfolk must present themselves before the Lord Yahweh, the God of Israel. When I have dispossessed the nations for you and extended your frontiers, no one will covet your land, if you present yourselves 3 times a year before Yahweh your God. You must not offer the blood of the victim sacrificed to me at the same time as you offer unleavened bread, nor is the victim offered at the feast of Passover to be put aside for the following day. You must bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of Yahweh your God. You must not boil a kid in his mother's milk.
All right? Were y'all counting? Were you counting? It's just an illusion. Do you understand? It's just an illusion. Because I am about to bring you the light.
Yahweh said to Moses, put these words in writing, for they are the terms of the covenant I am making with you and with Israel. He stayed there with Yahweh for 40 days and 40 nights, eating and drinking nothing. He inscribed on the tablets the words of the covenant,
the 10 words.
At the end of 34 in American, it says, Moses stayed there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights without eating any food or drinking any water. He wrote on the tablet the words of the covenant,
the 10 commandments. That's in the text. It says, these are the 10 commandments. These, according to this story, are the tablets that he gives to the Hebrews. Family. Have you heard any of that shit before in Pastor Pitmo's church? Yet you know about murder and lying and honor your mother and father, but the Israelites, they didn't know any of that. According to the story, what I just read you, the ones that he gave them. Yet you've never heard it. How is it that you know the words that were inscribed on the first set of tablets that the Israelites never saw, but the words on the tablets that the Israelites saw, you don't know jack shit about? Maybe your jealous God was playing tricks on you. It's all an illusion. See, that's the bullshit that the pagans learned from us. They learned certain stories from us, wrapped up some lies, and gave it back to you. And you ate it. You ate every bit of it. Wholeheartedly. Because you don't read this shit. Pastor Pitmo tells you, open up to Isaiah 33 and read verse 1 through 6. And then I want you to go to Matthew. Fuck that, man. I could take any book You could give me a porn magazine. Give me Playboy. And I don't have any Playboy magazines here. I don't have any Hustlers and any other ones. But I promise you, I could take one of those magazines and I could do the same shit that Pastor Pitmo does, and I make it sound like it's a prayer. All I gotta do is skip around, take a little bit of this, add to a little bit of this, skip, jump, 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 jump. Because you're not reading the whole fucking thing. You don't have to read that shit no more. You need to start reading our stuff. Read our story. Learn that this, Ankh, the symbol of eternal life, the womb, ovaries, fallopian tubes, and vaginal canal. Flip it over, testicles and penis. Isn't that where life comes from? And if you want to get deeper, if you want to get even deeper, the cosmic egg over the horizon of time and the path by which creation is made. The cosmic egg. From the triple black waters of Nun rose Ptah as upon a hill, or as a hill. Ptah spake into existence everything that was going to exist by saying Amen. And then Aten came forth, and Aten named everything afterwards. Kind of sounds like your Genesis story, doesn't it? It speaks of waters. There's the word Amen in it. Coming forth. Family, drop the illusions. And the one illusion that you really need to drop is the illusion of inclusion. We don't need them. They need us. They always have. The truth is, they came from us. They got separated. Whether you want to prescribe to the Yakub big head scientist theory that the Devs, the Amu, the Tamahu, the Wazungu, the created ones were a genetic experiment. Okay, I don't care. Still means that they weren't first. If you're going to prescribe to the belief that, or the thought that maybe, and this is the one that I've kicked around for a while, because albinism is a naturally occurring mutation in all life forms. It happens. Now, what if you had albinos in ancient days in Africa? What we know about albinos is they can't stand direct sunlight. Burns them up. They can't see. What would a mother think about her albino child who cannot go out in the daylight and play with the other children when they're out there playing? Wouldn't that mother have some pity and some compassion for a child? So, well, we've traveled all over the planet, I know that there's a place where there's less sun, it's cooler temperature. Maybe we should take all our kids and send them there. That part of Asia, in the northern part of Asia. Maybe below the mountains, or maybe even in the mountains. Okay. Maybe it was just, you want to prescribe to the, maybe it was just some Africans that were up in that region and they settled there, and whatever happened, we do know that an ice age occurred. And people in that region got isolated and separated from the original flock, the original stock. They couldn't get back for thousands of years. And they had to live in extreme temperatures and extreme climate where nothing green grew, and nothing but predators. We know that happened. If I were to separate myself from everybody, even with the knowledge that I have now, whatever knowledge I have, if I wasn't constantly reinforcing that with the original stock and having children with somebody who also was not reinforcing that knowledge with the original stock, how long would I be as intelligent? How long would I be able to continue talking? Wouldn't I lose language? Wouldn't I lose everything intellectual? Stands to reason, family, that you have been cut off from your original stock. From this. You've been cut off from this by force. You've been cut off to know the grandeur of Kemet. They invented Egyptology. You can get a PhD in Egyptology. You can't get a PhD in Romeology or Spainology, Franceology, Great Britanology. You can't get a PhD in any of that bullshit. You get a PhD in Egyptology. And it was never named Egypt until they corrupted a concept. Hekupitos. Okay? Which they named Egyptos, Egypt. I'll get into that in a later video. But they fucked up. They fucked up everything. They always have. And they always will. You were the first human being on this planet. You were the one that named the plants and the animals. You were Aten that named everything that came out after none. Came up out of none, rather. That was you. Not them. And when they become extinct, which is happening, Ashe, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she taught us that. She began teaching us that in the 70s. Look at her interview on Phil Donahue and look at the white people when she told them, your fear is the fear of genetic annihilation. The black penis. The women, oh, my goodness. Yeah. But what is their ideal man in Hollywood? It was always tall. Come on, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, tell them. Tall, dark, and handsome. That was the ideal man. Doesn't that tell you something? One of the greatest leading men in Hollywood history, Clark Gable. Look at his ancestry. Clark Gable, dark eyebrows, black hair. Damn! Don't sound too European to me. Even though there are Europeans that have dark hair. Especially in southern Italy and Sicily, because Hannibal and his horde fucked them into existence. Just like they fucked the Indian into existence here on this continent by rape. So, that being said, family, I've talked long enough about the illusion of inclusion and what it means to us. It means death to you. It always has, and it always will. I hope to shine some light into your eyes and therefore give you life again. I hope to give you the love of the universe so that you too will know that you are God having a human experience and have peace and then have eternal peace. Hotep. I'll write this song for you another time.